Hi, it's Mark from Top Local. We're here with Bernie Pawlik from Pawlik Automotive. We're talking cars this morning. How you doing, Bernie?
Doing very well.
So we're going to talk about a BMW 2003 23i that had a water pump problem. What was going on with this BMW?
Well, the vehicle was dry. The owner was driving the vehicle and pulled into a job site and was making a horrendous racket. And they wisely decided to shut it off and have the vehicle towed to our shop to be repaired.
And you found?
We found the water pump severely worn. I mean, the sound coming from the engine was just horrendous. And the water pump bearing was completely fried. Well, it's fried, like broken apart, causing the belt to flop around, the pulleys, the fan was, way out of place and tapping things. So there's a lot of noises going on, a lot of racket. We'll just get right into sharing a little video of the bearing because it's really interesting to look at. So here is the water pump bearing.
This is not good.
Yeah, it's just insanely worn. So that's our. See if I can get myself out of this screen here. There we go. All right.
So basically, that should not have any play in it whatsoever.
That should not have any play. Yeah, no, that should be. I could grab that bearing, that flange, and move it. There should be absolutely no movement at all whatsoever.
So what sort of other issues would be caused by the water pump failure like that?
Well, there's a lot of things that can happen. And interestingly enough, there was really no pre-warning, although I suspect if the owner had listened a little more, there was probably some growling bearing noise coming from the engine. But I mean, a lot of things could happen. Like when a water pump fails, the engine can overheat. That's a very typical issue. Also, coolant loss is another common issue. And surprisingly, the coolant level was full in this car, which was good because, the engine never overheated, and that's a good thing. But usually when a bearing fails like that, there's a seal inside, and the seal will leak, of course, because things are just moving, at an angles that they're not supposed to. I think something with the design of this water pump, it's got a very long housing and bearings at each end, and I think somehow the way the seal is situated just allows it to not leak. But again, that was a real surprise because with a bearing that loose, 99% of the time the coolant just gushes out all over the ground. So fortunately, in the case of this vehicle, there wasn't, the water pump was the main thing that was bad.
So you replaced the water pump. Any other parts need to be replaced?
Well, there was a few other things. So fortunately, the fan itself wasn't damaged, even though it was whacking against the fan shroud. And I guess in some cases too, if this thing had worn worse, it could have just wrecked the radiator too, because they often sit very close. The fan and radiator can sit close to each other, but there's no damage in that area. So what other items did need to be replaced? So when we took it apart, the fan clutch, which is basically a mechanism that allows the fan to slip and improve basically engine efficiency and fuel economy, that piece was worn just from age, so we replaced that. Also, the belts obviously got replaced. They were showing signs of cracking, and the tensioners and pulleys were starting to wear, so we replaced those too. So a few preventative items to prevent other failures down the road. But yeah, that was it.
So how are BMWs for reliability? I had mixed results with them.
They're actually these cars actually I find are pretty reliable. They're they're a little simpler. These older like a 2000 BMW, it's a little simpler of a car than some of the newer ones with direct fuel injection. They seem to have less problems. I mean, there's a lot of plastic pieces that wear out, but this car is 20 years old. We do regular service on it, and it doesn't really come in for a whole lot. That more than you'd expect on a car that's this age. So pretty good, reliable car, and nice driving vehicle.
So there you go. If you're looking for service in Vancouver for your BMW 3 Series, the guys to see are Pawlik Automotive. You can reach them at 604-327-7112. They're busy. Got to book ahead, or check out the site pawlikautomotive.com. We have almost 5 years of videos on there, hundreds and hundreds of them for you to peruse through. Tons of information. Thanks, Bernie.
Thanks, Mark.